The San Francisco 49ers are 3-0, but at what cost? How do the 49ers pick up the slack for Nick Bosa? Steph Sanchez and I will discuss that and more right after this. I'm Jason Aponte. That's Steph Sanchez. This is the Bully Ball Podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network, the only podcast that is listed as day-to-day on the 49ers injury report. Steph, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. You do so well with those, by the way. Just that little segue. You've perfected it. So
I appreciate that. I try to come up with something a little bit different, So before we get into what everybody wants us to talk about, how are we looking in this sleeper fantasy league? I think you and I have the same record because I finally got knocked off this week because my team fell apart with injuries, and injuries is going to be a common theme throughout this podcast. Podcast as well too. But yeah, we're both 2-1 here. What are we looking at?
My team looks great. I mean, we had the Caleb Williams performance. He went off against Dallas. There's no D in Dallas currently. So it was Stephen A that said, just call him Alice at this point. So yeah, my team kind of went off, even with Barkley not having that great of a game statistically, Irving not having that great of a game. I still pulled out the win because I didn't take advice from you this week. That helped.
I mean, all right. So, Steph, if you would have asked me in week 1 who to play, J.J. McCarthy or Caleb Williams, I would have said J.J. McCarthy. If you would have came back to me in week 2 and said J.J. McCarthy or Caleb Williams, I would have said Caleb Williams.
I got to ask every week.
All right. So, yes, because what happened with J.J. McCarthy, Steph? He lost every single offensive lineman. They're literally like running out for, like, I wouldn't have played any quarterback under those circumstances. So this is why you have to ask the question week after week. It's not J.J. McCarthy or bust every single week. And obviously, Caleb Williams against Dallas is a smash spot. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Russell Wilson, who just got benched, literally lit them up. So yeah, like, come on, you gotta start coming back to me week to week. It's not J.J. McCarthy or Caleb Williams every single week, as a blanket statement. Come on, that's not how you do fantasy.
I don't know about that.
Speaking of fantasy, you guys need to be using the Sleeper app. The NFL season is here, which means you now have a chance at 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Pick on stats like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more, up to 1,000 times your payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you could win big. Use promo code GSP and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Love Sleeper. Literally run all my leagues off of them. All right, Rob. I know you're dying to do it because everybody wants to hear it. Just run it. Let's get it over with.
Kicker update.
Eddie Pinheiro is that guy, and I don't want to hear anything more about kickers.
Kicks his ass off.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. All right. So we're done. Okay, Steph. So let's get to serious topics. Obviously, everything that's going on in 49ers land is about Nick Bosa and his torn ACL, which is a complete bummer, especially considering everything that we were seeing from other players, and we were getting excited. Before we talk about the just overall impact of Nick Bosa, because there is no 1-for-1 replacement. There is no way to committee replace him. It's the cascading effect on the defensive line, and this is what I want to explain on this is the rippling effect, the chain reaction of this. Michael Williams gets to play inside, and Bryce Huff is a pass rusher who just comes on the field here and there. Now Bryce Huff has to be on the field every single down. Michael is going to be relegated more to an outside role. Like the way that this defense was operating as chess pieces with Nick Bosa as the constant is something that we're going to miss. Now, having said that, this defense is going to be fine overall. Robert Saleh is going to be creative and find a way to get this done. But I don't want to brush aside the idea that, oh, Nick Bosa's not here for the entire season, they're going to be fine. No worries or anything like that. And for our audio listeners, the 49ers pressure rate with Nick Bosa on the field on Sunday, 45.5%, without 28%. It's a perfect way to encapsulate what he does. So, Steph, you talk me off the ledge here a little bit, man, because I'm still not feeling good about this, even though I know that the 49ers are still a playoff team and going to be fine defensively.
Yeah, before I talk you off the ledge, I am going to just kind of reference that. I was going to reference that exact same stat that Rob pulled up that KP posted. I think that's just a small glimpse of it's hard to quantify, like the loss of Nick Bosa and what that's going to mean for like the full season, but like as far as that game on Sunday, I mean, that's how you quantify the impact in that single game. And we could expect that, we do kind of see something similar throughout the year. To your point of this has cascading effects to the defensive line. I mean, I absolutely agree, because I feel like with how the defensive line had been looking so far, Nick Bosa was able to kind of operate where he wasn't getting as many double teams as, maybe he was getting, say, last year or the year before that, because you kind of had to respect everybody on that defensive line. Well, without Nick Bosa, I think that gets exaggerated even more, where if there is anybody who does step up or is seen as the biggest threat, Bryce Huff, for example, or Michael Williams, for example, any one of those guys on any play, like you probably are going to start to see those guys, get double teamed and get more attention driven towards them going forward. And that's, I think, going to even lower the defensive line's impact even more. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely is going to require, I think, a lot of adjustments from Robert Saleh's side. The good news is I feel like we had already been starting to see a lot of wrinkles from Robert Saleh, a lot of creativity, a lot of exotic looks. I don't know if it necessarily increases, but certainly there's a reason to. Like, there's more incentive for that, because you're not going to get the same amount of pressure with four guys. You're just not. So maybe we see more blitzes. And one thing I'd be worried about too, Jay, is like not just the impact of the defensive line, which we just talked about, but also how is this going to impact the secondary? I mean, because that stat there of Kyler Murray suddenly having a little bit more time, facing less pressure. I mean, you're going to have quarterbacks being able to take their shots downfield. And the secondary, I think, at least so far, we like, I think, long-term what these young, players on that secondary can do and how they can improve. But as of right now, I think we know they're still a little green. Like there's still a lot that they need to learn, and for us to really feel comfortable about that. So I just know quarterbacks, opposing offensive coordinators, they're going to be targeting that secondary. We're not worried about Lenore, but we're worried about everyone else that's bound to be targeted more as a result of this. So yeah, I'll pause for a second. I guess like I do still want to get to like the silver lining, I guess, of all of it, or just like the fact of the Robert Saleh, this defense could be fine. But I do want to just, simmer on that a little bit, I guess.
And if you want, good news in the secondary, Renardo Green targeted one time, 0 catches. Clearly his best game of the season, even if that PI on him in the end zone is what everybody will remember. The first 2 weeks they were going at him and Nick Bosa was on the field, but one target, 0 catches, very good bounce back game for Renardo Green. The silver lining is the San Francisco 49ers are going to save $7 million in future salary cap because of the insurance policy that they took out on Nick Bosa's contract for a season-ending injury. So you can use that either this season or into next season because, while the money may not allocate right away right here, you still can plan, with that. And I think that's kind of where we're going with this. So obviously what's going to be asked is, how do you replace Nick Bosa? Is it going to be in-house? Is it going to be with some sort of trade? I want to preface this discussion and I want to preface this with this. Before you start adding John Lynch on Twitter and adding Jed York because the 49ers didn't trade for anyone, just remember this. No team has to do anything for the San Francisco 49ers. No team has to say yes to any trade proposal that the San Francisco 49ers have. No team has to be on the San Francisco 49ers time. So if you're worried, like, why haven't they traded for Tyler Hendrickson, the Bengals have to say yes. Why have they traded for Kayvon Thibodeau? The Giants have to say yes. So I want you to slow down. We obviously have guys that we're going to talk about, but it takes two to tango. So I don't want you going out the window and yelling at John Lynch and yelling at Jed York that they're cheap when the other team actually has to say yes, and the other team has no obligation to help the San Francisco 49ers out. So obviously the big one, Trey Hendrickson, Steph, that's the one that everybody's looking at. Now, before I pass it to you, yes, the Cincinnati Bengals are cooked. The Cincinnati Bengals are currently 2-1. The Cincinnati Bengals are going nowhere as long as Joe Burrow is not the quarterback. But I want to remind 49ers fans, the Cincinnati Bengals still have to sell tickets to their fan base. The Cincinnati Bengals still have to get their fan base interested. And you trading Trey Hendrickson just because Nick Bosa got hurt in week 4 signals a big white flag for whatever Cincinnati Bengals fan is still sitting there saying, hey, we're 2-1 and we can still win some games. Remember, at the end of the day, the NFL is a business. And them packing up after 4 or 5 weeks and just sending a trade because 49ers fans want to trade, I just want to tell you, that's not how things work. But Trey Hendrickson does make a lot of sense. Basically revised 1-year deal. Again, will be off the books next season. The 49ers are under no obligation to pay him. Fits immediately in there. Trey Hendrickson feels like a glove in hand fit, but it's going to have to probably wait till the end of closer to the trade deadline.
And the trade deadline, by the way, is November 4th. We got some ways to go. We're heading into week 4. So November 4th, that falls after week 9. And I think, it's way too early for teams to pretty much punt their season. Even the ones that, even the Bengals, I think, don't underestimate a team's ability to be delusional about.
And they have to sell tickets. What are you telling? What are you telling your fan base? What are you telling your fan base? Joe Burrow's hurt, and you know what? We're gonna send Trey Hendrickson. We're really packing this shit up in week 4. Come on, let's use our logical business brain here.
Yeah, so I think it's still a little premature to talk about trade fits because, again, as Kyle Shanahan said, it has to make sense for the other team as well. So while players make sense, sure, there's a ton of players who make a lot of sense for the 49ers. I mean, a lot of pretty good defensive ends out there that are on teams that, either are bad or on teams where the defensive line are stacked. But yeah, I think it's a little early. Definitely a topic, though, Jay, that I want to get to, I guess, in a few weeks, and we can revisit the matter when it makes a little more sense. But right now, just kind of screaming into the void and saying we need to trade for this person, we need to trade for this person, it doesn't feel too relevant right now. The 49ers aren't going to make that move at this time. They'll work the phones. I'm sure they're calling teams already, they got to do their due diligence, but don't expect to see anything happen quite yet, because also the same applies for the 49ers, where they're 3-0 right now, but who knows what they're going to be after week 8, what if it isn't worth, making a trade and sending the first rounder or second rounder for Trey Hendrickson at that point, so we've said it before, teams around that time before that time are going to be in an information gathering period. And so no one's going to be making a move while they're gathering information. All right. But, back to the Nick Bosa thing, I'll just say this, obviously the margin for error is going to decrease for the rest of the season. Everyone needs to elevate their level of play. Yes, they're 3-0 right now. Their average scoring margin is just plus 3.3 so far. That's with Nick Bosa for most of that, right? So is Nick Bosa the difference between that margin slimming even further? Or going to the negative? I think we could expect that, like I said, the margin of error is going to go down. And so what I think, and I kind of want to bookmark it for a little later, is the offense needs to help out too. But there's still some guys on this defense that I want to talk about, Jay. And I think one of those guys is Mykel Williams. I mean, it has to be. His growth just from week to week so far in this short span has been very impressive. He's already lining up all over the line. Bryce Huff has been as well. So you feel excited about how they could use both of those guys. and just the stats that are coming out of his impact and what he did in that game, his splits, right? Cardinals averaged 2.5 yards per carry on design runs. Yes, the exact tweet I was going to reference here. Thank you, Rob from Dieter. 2.5 yards per carry on design runs with Mykel Williams on the field. And here's another one for the season. 49ers rushing success rate allowed with Mykel Williams is 25.8% versus 66.7% when he's not been on the field. That's a dramatic difference. That is how you quantify his impact so far, and that feels pretty big. And Jay, it's not just in the run game, right? Which we already knew. I mean, he's doing exactly what the 49ers drafted him to do in his first season. I think we expected that, the pass rushing, that was going to probably come with time. It wasn't going to be something that we'd see immediately, except it kind of is. Like 6 pressures in week 3. And among rookie defensive ends, he has the highest pass rush win rate. So I feel like the 49ers are already banking in on what they invested in Mykel Williams. But boy, they're going to need a lot more out of him going forward. I mean, you talked about it earlier. The snap counts for him are going to go up. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of leaning on him. But so far, he looks pretty good.
Mykel, Sam O, Yetur Gross models, this is your time right now. Like, you're going to have to play far more than you ever did. And it's not going to be specialized roles. It's going to be every down roles. Realistically, a trade target that the 49ers should be all over is going to be lining up against them in Jacksonville and Arden Key. And you need to be all over that idea, and this is why. Because of that same stuff that we were just talking about with allowing Mykel to move inside and be a chess piece and move around and create havoc, Arden Key offers you that same sort of flexibility. Outside, inside, that's exactly what you're looking for, right? And won't cost you a ton, right? Like, again, like if you're going for a 1-for-1 replacement for Nick Bosa, the closest thing is going to be Trey Hendrickson. But you understand that comes with a high price. And you understand that the Bengals have you in a ringer because they know that you need him. So they're going to say, this is the price and whatever it is. But if the 49ers are going to do this, I think what they're going to do first is they're going to figure out what they have in-house. And they're going to figure out what exactly they want to do with what they have and how teams are attacking them. There's going to be a few weeks of this, and you have to still bet that Robert Saleh, why he's been able to generate pressure with 4, it's been mostly because of the blitz looks and how he's been able to get pressure with sending Winters and sending this guy. So you're looking around at what you can find, but maybe the answer's in-house. And it's starting to feel like we're going to get to the trade deadline stuff, and they're going to say our trade deadline acquisition was getting Brandon Ayuk back to normal and DeMarcus Robinson's back and George Kittle's back, and there's your deadline acquisition. So, I mean, look, I'm not saying that, I think the 49ers are just not going to do anything. Of course, I think they're going to use the phones, but I do think that the plan of them being cheap in the offseason kind of changes when you see that you're already 3-0. Now, let's just say you go 7-7 the rest of the way. You're still 10-7. That's still most likely a playoff spot. So you have to really, you really have to look at how things change from when they were. Doesn't mean that the 49ers are going to go break the bank, but if you're looking at potential replacements, it has to be on that level, but it has to be interior first. Like, they're going to look in-house first and see what they have first and try to figure out what they can get from these guys.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. And again, that goes back to the information gathering period that we were talking about. We're in it, right? And while I think this team has exceeded the early season expectations, right? Like, I don't think we would have expected that they'd be 3-0 after the first 3 weeks. Maybe we did actually. Yeah, I was like, maybe we did actually.
20-0. I mean, how are we not expecting them to be 3-0 when we say 20-0 in Super Bowl? Like, what you mean? Of course, there's never a doubt.
Never a doubt. But like, I guess like the season outlook was more of, hey, we'd be happy if we slip into the playoffs as a wild card team or something like that. Like this, we knew that this wasn't going to be a season where they're going Super Bowl or bust, for example. So that might also change the outlook, but it also depends what you're sitting at, around the trade deadline. Because if you are with a really good winning record, you might be like, okay, this might be worth something, But getting back to Mikel, like the one concern, and this I guess applies to all of the rookies that are playing a lot of snaps. Siegel's played almost all of the snaps so far. Mikel Williams has kind of been ramping up a little bit with each week, and you got to expect that going forward, it's going to go up exponentially. My concern with that, though, Jay, is do we see a rookie wall at some point with Mikel Williams? These guys are used to playing 12, maybe 15 games if they make, the college playoffs. And, I guess that's close to a full NFL season, but those last few weeks, you might just get a little bit of, some wear on those tires.
Yeah and no. Yes, because the length of the season is longer, but the NFL is far slower pace than college. Like not even close. Like those guys are like running plays like every like 10, 15 seconds. So like for me, I do think there is a little bit of that. But the way that it was shaping up, how can you keep Mikel Williams off the field with the way he's developing so quickly?
Yeah,
6 pressures and like 4 or 5 in straight true pass sets, meaning no screens or play action. His win rate was just as good as Bryce Huff. By the way, Bryce Huff, thank you. Like thank you very much. That's back-to-back weeks of 90 plus grade as a defensive player. But yeah, I mean, regardless, like if Mikel Williams is developing, you're not going to say, hey, listen, we got to get him off the field to slow him down. You got to put him back out there. So, like, again, it is what it is. He's got to go through it. But as far as, like, the pace, college football is far ahead as like pace per play than NFL is. That's why Travis Hunter has no issues like going back and forth and playing both. It's not like he's like running a bunch over and over again. And for our audio listeners, this is a stat from Rob or by PFF. Rob Lauder is the one who put it. 90.1 overall grade for Bryce Huff, led the team. 89.2% pass rushing grade, led the team. 29.6 win percentage, led the team. 38.5% on true pass sets, tied with Mikel Williams. That's a better stat than just overall pass rushing grade. True pass sets. No screens, no play action, like just straight drop backs. That's where you want to see it. 5 total pressures, 1 QB sack, 1 QB hit, 3 hurries, and a batted pass. Bryce Huff has been great. Now, the problem is, and I'm not trying to be negative or anything like that. It's just, I think the way to get the most out of Bryce Huff is to have him as that efficient NASCAR edge, right? Now he's got to play the run. He's got to stay on the field a lot more. And that, I feel, while he is a very good football player and has played well, I feel like it is taking the overall strength of his contributions from this defense away. And that's what I'm talking about. Cascading effect of Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is run, pass, whatever, every down. Bryce Huff is, I'm going to catch my breath, and when it's time for me to come get the quarterback, that tackle that's been winded, he's not going to be able to keep up with me because I have fresh legs. Does change the dynamic of this, and this is where Salah's got to get creative because the chess piece and the way that they were using Huff and Mikel and each of Gross models changes because they have to see the field more and more to try to replace. And I do think that Sam O is somebody that's going to be, on base downs a lot more. He has looked very good. He'll probably be the guy that flanks out with Mikel a little bit more. So maybe if Sammy O can take that step, then maybe they can move Huff into that role. But you are going to see Bryce Huff a little bit more, and I do think it takes away his superpower of kind of sitting back and waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah, I guess the fortunate thing is that so far, and again, that is with the limited snaps, but so far it looks like the scheme fits him better, and that like he already just needs one more sack to surpass his sack total last year with the Eagles. But yeah, I mean, I think we are going to have to see some other guys on those base downs. And maybe at times you put Huff on base downs, but again, that's just not his strong suit. So you rather not. And what's crazy, and we might say it again in the show, but everything that we're talking about as this is what the 49ers need to do, we're talking best case scenarios too, right? Like we're talking about if no one else gets hurt, like which that is unrealistic as well. So I guess just want to preface that, but yeah, I mean, so far it's looked great. 8th in pass rush win rate among edge rushers this season, according to PFF as well. And if you look back at how Robert Saleh performed with his defense back in 2020 when he didn't have Bosa, everyone's talking about Kerry Hyder, right? 8.5 sacks. Let's just say, do we feel like Michael Williams is better than Kerry Hyder? Do we feel like Bryce Huff is better than Kerry Hyder at this point in their careers?
Okay. I mean, the answer is yes, but I don't want to throw water on this because I feel like too many people are correlating what happened in 2020 to what's happening now with this team as a data point. And I think the obvious answer is yes, Michael Williams is better than Kerry Hyder.
Mm-hmm.
But just because it happened once isn't something that I'm going to look to and just say because it happened in 2020, it's going to happen again. If I'm going to be optimistic, it's because of how Robert Saleh has evolved. And what I want to point out about that season with Kerry Hyder, those were all coverage sacks. Those aren't Kerry Hyder's running over guys and just knocking people down. Did we forget in 2020, Jason Verrett had a rebirth? He was absolutely lights out. That secondary was insane on the back end. So Kerry Hyder getting 8.5 sacks isn't the flex you think it is. Not you, Steph. I mean, just like overall, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like, oh, Kerry Hyder was a madman under. No, coverage sacks. Those were coverage sacks. I implore you to go back and watch the tape because there were guys not open and Kerry Hyder got a chance to and then finally get there, right? Like it's not like he's blowing off the line, right? Now, if you want to use it conversely and the other way, which is the positive, is the 49ers clearly have a better defensive line than they did in 2020. And they have a better overall defense, 100%. But I just don't like pointing to 2020 and saying, oh, Kerry Hyder did this. I think we need to consider those circumstances and everything as well, too. But I'm not going to point to a data point in the weirdest season in football history, by the way. And the craziest season. Like the 49ers played in front of no fans and in Arizona. We don't know the effect that had on offenses and all that stuff. Like, we're not here to, discuss. Like, I do think this defense is going to be fine. But using the 2020 season as like this data point of like they did it before and they did it again without all of the other context, you're just grasping at a straw right now, in my opinion, stuff.
Context does matter, and I think as Charlene in the comments says, and I think it's important you lay all of that out. But for that same reason, the additional context that you also mentioned that Robert Saleh is better. This defense currently is better. There's reason to use the two to compare and say, okay, well, if they were able to do that, and yes, even with the context, if they were able to do that, then you should expect that they should be able to do better this year. Or at the very least, I think what 2020 tells us is Robert Saleh was able to keep this defense afloat. And that's all we need to know that they could do. And I think with all the other context pertaining to this year, we feel confident that they could do that. Robert Saleh could do that this year.
Yeah, but I'm not, like the reason that I'm confident is because of what I've seen with Robert Saleh and his defense. I'm not pointing at 2020 as like, oh, this is why.
But I'm not saying that's
not
why.
You. Not you. I'm just saying.
No, I know. I'm just, but like, cause I get why people are bringing it up though. Cause like, again, it's the same defensive coordinator and, different circumstances, obviously, but some of the same, it's without Bosa. So yeah, I mean, I think you comparing the two and just knowing that it looks better on paper this year, that it should turn out fine. Theoretically, like that. Yeah. These are all theories we have, right? Of how this defense is going to look going forward.
Let me be 100% transparent and clear. The San Francisco 49ers are still going to have a top 10 defense without Nick Bosa. The San Francisco 49ers are a playoff team without Nick Bosa. The San Francisco 49ers defense is not going to fall apart. There are going to be times where you're like, hey, I wish we had Nick Bosa, and why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? Because that would be me being obtuse and downplaying the loss of one of the best players in football. Like, I'm not here to do any of that. I'm not here to tell you that the Nick Bosa thing doesn't mean anything, but I'm not here to tell you the sky's falling and the season's over. And I'm not here to tell you that the San Francisco 49ers defense is going to fall apart because none of those things are going to happen. They're not. The only way this 49ers defense falls apart is if they sustain more injuries. Now, knock on wood, and I think that's really important that we do that. That doesn't happen. But they're 3-0. They found ways to win games. Again, if they go 7-7, they'll be 10-7, most likely in the NFC. You look around the NFC, and this is another thing I want to talk about. Whatever your plan was going into this season, right, about being cheap, and I think, Steph, we all thought this offseason, this is a year where we're going to prep for the future. We're going to try to figure out what we have. I don't think anybody, even the most optimistic San Francisco 49ers fan, was saying, hey, this is going to be a run to the Super Bowl. You know, we joke a lot, right? And we're optimistic. That's obviously the ultimate goal. But that wasn't really a realistic goal going into the season, right? But now, you start to see the development of the rookies. You're 3-0. Now Nick Bosa's hurt. You look around. The Super Bowl champion Green Bay Packers finally lost the game because they were crowned after 2 weeks. The Philadelphia Eagles have serious cracks. Their offense is what Drew Brees and I agree, boring as hell. The Washington Commanders are not exactly out here smoking everybody. The Los Angeles Rams just choked away a game in which they decided to have worse special teams than the San Francisco 49ers. The Tampa Bay Bucks are 3-0. Mike Evans is going to be on the shelf for weeks, including probably the game that the 49ers get back George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Malik Mustafa. Your plans change throughout the season, and you have to have feel for everything. So the NFC is wide open. The San Francisco 49ers, whatever your plans were before you got into this, you're looking now and you're saying, hey now, 3-0, we didn't think that we were going to be spenders. This has to change now. And if you're not, and if you're rigid in your stance without being flexible, given new information, that's what bad organizations do. And you don't think the 49ers are that. So no matter what the plan was going into the season, I'm not telling you that they're going to trade for Trey Hendrickson. But I guarantee you the 49ers are going to be working the phones trying to bring somebody in here. Because they realize what's going on around the league, and they realize we haven't played our best football. We're 3-0, and we're not just getting guys back. We're not getting a starting tight end back. You're getting the best in the world back. You're going to be able to pair Brandon Ayuk with Ricky Pearsall, who is taking off and is third in the league right now in receiving yards. And DeMarcus Robinson's returning. Like, these aren't guys that are coming back. The circumstances change when you start 3-0. And you have a very good chance going into that Rams game at being 4-1, 5-0, something like that, like 4-0, like you have a really, or 3-2, like whatever it is, you have a really good chance. I think we all think the 49ers is going to beat the Jaguars, so you could be 4-0. How many teams get a 4-0 start and don't capitalize on that? And I think that's the difference between whatever it is that you thought was going in the offseason and what's going on now. Moody hurt me no mo. Moody can't hurt us no more. Thank you for the donation. To be a 49er, you have to get hurt. Don't make the rules. Steph, my neck hurts a little bit too. So I guess being a 49ers podcaster is in line with that.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if a player sees that they're going to get traded to the 49ers. They're like, oh no, like that means I'm going to get hurt by the season's end. I don't want that. But in all seriousness, I think what you were saying is a perfect segue to the offense and how the offense could help out the defense. And it was so funny, Jay, because remember at the beginning of the season, in the offseason, we were like, this offense is going to help. It needs to help out this defense as they grow. And, you know, they're dealing with their bumps and bruises with the rookies and young players and all that. But suddenly it was very complimentary football in the first few weeks. We say it's not perfect. They still haven't played like a perfect game through these first 3 weeks, but that's important too. Like
they haven't played their best game.
We feel bullish about them being able to do that at some point this year. But in the interim, I think we do expect that the offense, now with Brock Purdy back in this upcoming week, now with DeMarcus Robinson coming back, I don't know if he'll play as soon as this week, but he'll be available to you. That's important. Juwan Jennings maybe comes back this week. You got, Kittle not too long after that, right? So again, to your point, like we're going to get reinforcements back on the offense. And hey, like they've been doing okay to this point as well. Also not perfect, but you see some good things in Ricky Pearsall and that make you feel pretty good. And
He's pretty good, huh?
he's pretty good. Like he's him. There's never been more of a him than him.
I was looking
It's
at the
great.
tape and I thought it was that, but it was that dance with Kendrick Bourne, the one where they hit the dance together, and I'm just like, all right, yeah. I'm like,
I
this
knew
guy's
they'd
locked
get
in, yeah.
along. I knew those
Yeah,
guys would get along. Like
yeah.
they like to dance and
Too
have
much
fun.
sauce, man. Too much sauce. Yes, that's exactly it. So it's funny because you're absolutely right. We have to wade through the defense's bumps and bruises because this offense is going to pick it up. That's literally quotes from
They
you
have
and I
to.
this offseason, right? Right?
Now they have
No,
to.
no. Well, not through 3 games.
No,
The
well, yeah.
defense,
Now they have to.
the defense has literally given you a look at it whenever you've needed it. 2 straight weeks, the defense gave you a look at it. Like last year, if the defense would have, and they rarely did under Nick Sorensen, if they would have given the San Francisco 49ers offense a look at it, it would have ended in a loss. But Mac Jones throws an interception in this game, and you're just like, oh my God, pack it in. By the way, aside from the kicker and the punter, the 49ers special team is still atrocious. I don't like.
How does this keep happening, Jay?
Brent Bauer, what do you do here, dude? What do you do? Like, you know what, man? Make me the special teams coordinator. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. I can get you the same results. But you have that play, then you have the safety, then you have the interception, and you're just like, this is just like one of those games that we were just gonna get on an instant reaction and be like, I can't believe they lost this game. But they keep moving. And they win the game on the back of Mac Jones, right? Like Mac Jones, for all intents and purposes, that entire game, it was all Pearsall and Christian McCaffrey. It was literally, okay, Ricky, it's your turn. Okay, Christian, it's your turn. Okay, Ricky, it's your turn. Okay, Christian, it's your turn. But then he throws to Kendrick Bourne, Tonjes, and Sky Moore. And and then you get that big play from Christian McCaffrey before the thing, right? So this offense is completely behind the San Francisco 49ers defense. And the defense is the reason that this team is having... The San Francisco 49ers defense gave up 13 points. Now, Steph, if we're doing a prediction show and someone tells you the San Francisco 49ers are going to allow 13 points to the Arizona Cardinals, fill in the blank there after that.
I mean, I'd feel great about that. You should win the game.
By a lot.
Yeah.
The 49ers scored 24, 27.
Right.
No, they scored 16 and they scored 15.
Yeah.
So, yes, the offense needs to catch up. The 49ers are the last team in the NFL without a rushing touchdown. The longest rush for the 49ers this season belongs to Brian Robinson at 19 yards. I lamented all week why I thought this offense was going to be close. They are close, but we can't just keep relying on close now. This offense needs to get it going running the football. They're a block away. They're, one execution error away. That's the problem. And they're getting close. I want to keep believing that they're getting there, but the offense needs to pick this up. And they need to start now against Jacksonville.
Again, like I said, the margin of victory has been slim through these first 3 games. 49ers currently 23rd in points per game. And to be fair, we've only seen one game with Purdy, but we just know going forward that number is going to have to increase if you're going to give your best chance. And I think this is, I guess a great segue into this, right? These are some stats that 49er stats that are maybe troubling, right? And as Al Sacco, who tweeted this out, says, probably unsustainable. And so I'm going to read them off for the audio listeners. 49ers are one of 5 teams without an interception. The record of the 4 other teams without one is 2-10. 49ers are the only team without a rushing touchdown, as you just mentioned, Jay. 23rd in touchdowns scored, 24th in red zone percentage. So red zone continues to be an issue. 29th in rushing. The only defensive lineman with a sack other than Bosa is Huff right now. So you look at all these things and you say, at least one of these things, and maybe a couple of these things, have to change if you're going to win games going forward. I mean, because at some point, some of these things are going to catch up to you. And again, if we're talking about the defense, maybe, neutralizing a little bit or plateauing a little bit, then that's where the offense needs to come through. And lo and behold, a lot of these stats have to do with the offense. And I do feel like a lot of them kind of go hand in hand. This run game right now, Jay, has been abysmal for this team. As far as like the run blocking has been bad. Dominic Pooney at times, I'm like, bro, you better not be having a sophomore slump. But, it hasn't always been great. You could attribute that to, hey, like Kittle's not in there. He's your best, one of your best blockers out there. Maybe that's hurting the team. Also, just generally, I do feel like the offensive line for the first few weeks of the season, there's some bumps there as well, and they get more cohesive as the season goes on. You hope that's the case for the run blocking, but I've just never seen anything like this in like the Kyle Shanahan era, which gives me, I think, some pause. And you also have Christian McCaffrey, who's still making an impact in his own way, like 15 targets, right on Sunday. So he's still having an impact. But it's troubling to me that they can't get a run game going. And yes, I do understand, the way that teams are defending the 49ers right now, I think does have a lot to do with that too. But again, I think you have to find a way to run the football, because that's not being able to is definitely not sustainable.
The 49ers pass blocking has been better than their run blocking. Like, just hand up if you thought that was going to be something we'd say through 3 weeks. No. Also, and there's something on the screen right now. Christian McCaffrey's putting up wide receiver 1 numbers as a running back. 32 targets, third in the NFL. 25 catches, third in the NFL. He has more catches than Justin Jefferson. 213 yards, which is 14th in the league. That has to be eased with Jawan Jennings and Demarcus Robinson returning this week. Godspeed, hopefully. George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk returning as well. That is unsustainable.
Yeah.
It's just unsustainable. That's just, again, Sunday felt like in the huddle, we've all played backyard football, in the street football. Okay, it's your turn. Okay, it's my turn. Okay, it's your turn. Okay, it's my turn. That's it. Christian, go run out. I'm gonna throw it to you. Ricky, go to the Buick turn. I'm gonna throw it to you. That's literally what it was. Back and forth. Like it was 11 targets, 13 targets, and nobody else. And it's funny because I sent out a tweet joking around saying Christian McCaffrey and Ricky Pearsall all day, and everybody was like, "Oh, and Tonjes and Kendrick Bourne." Yeah, right. Look, the Jake Tonjes thing is cool. Like we're happy that he's but he's not a threat. Like teams aren't staying up at night. Like, damn, how do we defend Jake Tonjes? That's where George Kittle comes in. So yes, this is unsustainable, but obviously this is just a product of the offense right now of what they've been able to do. I still have to give credit to Kyle Shanahan for being able to find a way to win 3 games. Right? Like, I think it was Dave Lombardi who tweeted, the equivalent of this would be if Arizona was down Kyler Murray, Trey McBride, they're Browning, their best wide. Like, what other team could navigate this through 3 weeks and still have 3 wins? And the 49ers have been super unimpressive, right? So there is context and there's ways to look at this and say, yes, whatever, you think they're lucky, you have to be good to be in a position to be lucky. And that's what the 49ers are. They are far more well-coached than they've ever been. And I'm going to say that one more time, than they've ever been. And that includes 2019. That includes any year with Robert Saleh and DeMeco Ryans. This is the most well-coached team on both sides of the ball the 49ers have ever had under Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh. This version of Robert Saleh is better than that version of Robert Saleh. This team is better, well-coached, put in positions to win. If you told any other team that they were going to be missing their starting quarterback for 2 weeks, their best pass catcher, their best separator, and you know what? You would just say 0-3. The 49ers are 3-0. All those guys are coming back. This is why everything changes in your mind as you're building this roster. You might have been cheap going into this season, but you're looking around at the circumstances and the NFC and the way that your team still hasn't put everything together and the reinforcements that are coming. Again, these aren't just guys. These aren't just starters coming back. These are literal best tight end in football, the best separator at the wide receiver position by many metrics, Brandon Ayuk, paired up with the fact that Ricky Pearsall is taking off. This is how you have to change. And if you don't change your dynamic because you were cheap going into the season and you wanted to not spend money and now you want to stick to that, then you're doing things wrong, and that's what a poor organization would do. That's all I'll say, Steph.
Yeah, and to what you said about if any other team in the NFL had the exact same positions, that they had unavailable due to injury, I'd absolutely think, oh, like they're cooked. They're cooked. So I feel like Kyle Shanahan learned a lot last season, maybe in past seasons where he's had to adjust with without some of his best players. And it reminds me of the Bane quote, "You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it." That's Kyle Shanahan with these injuries. Like, I think he's finally figured it out. Like, this is how I adjust. And we're seeing it, right? Like, and it's kind of crazy because as I was kind of criticizing the offense a little bit of, they're not perfect yet. This run game has to improve, blah, 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 blah. Not even take into account, like they're they're missing so many guys. It's like it's almost disgusting, like how many guys are missing, and we're still sitting here complaining. But I think it's because we do know going forward, once you do have these reinforcements back, it has to be better. It will be better. Like it just has to be, right? And I think that's why, like, part of it, like I said, is how the defenses are playing it. They could sell out to stop Christian McCaffrey because look at who the 49ers have to throw to. You know what I mean? So I think as the season progresses, as Ricky Pearsall continues to look amazing, as you get a lot of your pass catchers back, I think opposing defenses are going to have to respect everything that the 49ers are putting out there, just as they always have, right? And as we've seen Kyle Shanahan do, it's going to open things up for other guys, right? So I think that will come with the return of some of these guys, but in the meantime, for the next couple weeks, you're going to get guys here and there that'll slowly, increasingly improve your offense a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think some of these stats will change that we were just going over. But I think the biggest one, like I said, is the run game. Can we use Brian Robinson in the red zone a little more, Jay? Because like I thought that was like the best thing he did in Washington. Like his red zone. Yeah, his red zone stats were good. He had the first down run in the red zone, and he got some good yardage there. And then Christian McCaffrey gets stuffed the other runs, but it also, again, it feels silly to say like take your best player off the field, but I would like to see more use of Brian Robinson just because they did trade for him after all. And you're struggling in the run game, so you might as well try some some different things. But I mean, just really quickly, how do you feel about the Brian Robinson thing? Do you want to see more of him, or you're like, just haven't seen enough good?
I get scared every single time that I see Christian McCaffrey like touch the ball like 20, 25 times. I'm just like, please, let not this be the one. But the offense is just, you can't operate this offense right now with any sort of threat without Christian McCaffrey. Like, teams are not shaking in their boots when Brian Robinson's on the field. Having said that, I would like to see Brian Robinson take some more of those in between the tackles hits. It does feel like they're transitioning Christian McCaffrey more to the Deebo Samuel wideback role of him as a receiver. And while there are a lot of those touches, receptions are more valuable than rushes, clearly. But also, those aren't as nearly taxing on your body, right? I just think that when Brian Robinson's on the field, the defense knows, like, they're like, well, they're not going to throw the football to him, and if they hand it off to him, we don't have to worry because he's not going to run right past us, right? Like, he's a fine complimentary back, but it's not like something that I'm really like throwing out on the field right now in favor of Christian McCaffrey, because if McCaffrey's not on the field, then there's no threat of anything.
Well, let's see both of them. Like, weren't we talking about that? Like,
I'd love that.
Right? I thought that was going to be more of a thing. Maybe
that.
We got to wait for that to happen. Christian McCaffrey currently the 10th highest target rate amongst pass catchers, 29.5%. That's insane. But that's what happens when you have a running back that's as good as running routes as Christian McCaffrey is. I think we kind of predicted that he would take some of that like Debo role too, because there was a lot of overlap there. That's why it made sense for the 49ers to move on from him. Um, so yeah, I'm okay with that. Rob, can you put up that comment about the Halloween episode? We're getting requests here from again, there's requests from Tony. Can we get a Halloween episode where Steph dresses up like Bosa and Jay dresses up like Pearsall? Have you gotten that before, Jay? That you look like Pearsall? Like,
I mean,
or just enough? Just enough.
A few people, yeah. I mean, look, it's a white guy with a beard and like swaggy hair. Like, it's just, you know what? I'm not against it, but I also am a little offended. It's just like, hey, listen, man. Like, got Austin Rivers a lot, like for sure. But I mean, I'm down to do this. I mean, I would shave and maybe try to do Kyle. Like, I have a whole Kyle outfit as well too. But yeah, But yeah, I've gotten that before about Pearsall. But realistically, when it comes to and Jesse, I'm so glad this came back up. Imagine how it'll be when McDaniel and D'Amico come back as consultants. We're getting the band
We're
back
so
together.
back.
We're getting the band back together, right? Like all of a sudden now, McDaniel and D'Amico are in as consultants, and McDaniel's helping with the run game, and D'Amico's helping Saleh. Like, are you starting to see the vision? Because the Texans are cooked. And so is Miami. Like, they're cooked. Like, they're like, it's real bad. By the way, again, I don't want to take any victory laps on week 3, but for everybody that just like crowns CJ Stroud the next football Jesus, come on back home and dial it back a little bit. And let's reel it in, because it is not looking like that right now.
Well,
and Texans,
it's circulating, Jay. That video of CJ Stroud
talking to Caleb Williams.
Talking to Caleb Williams after the game. Wow, what a moment!
It's just, this is what, and it's a conversation that I had in my private group chat with my friends and everything. Is year 1, you're ready to crown people. Jaden Daniels is the next, right? Jaden Daniels didn't look too good, and obviously he was out this week. But I want to remind you that when you come in and you take the league by storm within the first year, and they get some tape, then we're gonna figure some stuff out. And by the way, I've seen this movie before with Jaden Daniels. Cliff Kingsbury's offense comes in year 1, rips people up. Year 2 looks stagnant and stale. Where have I seen this story and this movie before? Everybody chill out. That's why you can't just say oh, I want Stroud, I want Daniels. Let's settle in. The hardest thing to do after putting up one good year is to put up another. And right now, CJ Stroud's he's fighting hell right now to try and make that happen. We'll see about Jaden Daniels, but he's in a Cliff Kingsbury offense that is very predictable in year 2, and everybody knows, and it's literally the 3rd time in the NFL that it's happened to him.
What can we say, Jay? Not everyone could beat Brock Purdy.
That's where I was going with it, right? I don't want Brock Purdy. I want CJ Stroud. Yeah? Cool. We want Brock back, and we'll be all right with that. But yes, the offense needs to catch up, and yes, the defense is going to give them a look, and yes, the 49ers are going to be a playoff team, and yes, this defense is still going to be fine, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm happy that Nick Bosa is not playing football. And we'll always have in our back pocket this entire season, as high as this defense can go this season, and they will, we'll always say, damn it, imagine if Nick Bosa was here too, and what this defense would be able to do, man. I mean, that's what we'll have the entire season.
Every year we're like, if only we were healthy, league needs to watch out. Every year.
It's literally us. It's literally us every single season. Yeah, look, the 49ers are 3-0. The 49ers haven't played their best football. Reinforcements are on the way. And what I mean by reinforcements is starting quarterback, best tight end in football. Amazing. Big. Yeah, amazing separator. Right? Like we're not just hey, some guys are coming back. No, these are important players. Starting quarterback, amazing separator wide receiver, best tight end in football. Demarcus Robinson's going to help. Jawan Jennings is going to slide into that third and Jawan role where he's far more effective. Ricky Pearsall is taking off right now. Right now, the NFC West has the best wide receivers in football: Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, and Ricky Pearsall right now. The NFC West is where all these guys are. The person that's not on this list and is trash, and I am going to jump out the window, is Marvin Harrison. You are not good at football. You are ungood, pal. I can't help you. And don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. Do not get mad at me. I would much rather have Ricky Pearsall than Marvin Harrison Jr., and that's what they get for drafting Marvin Harrison. Thank God they did, instead of Malik Neighbors. So, but
Jay, yeah, they're calling him Mitsubishi Marv now. If that tells you anything.
You know what I love? He's like, I need to watch the film. Film don't help those hands.
It's crazy.
Films don't help those hands. And then Fred's a menace.
Fred's footsteps.
No, but Fred's a menace too. Like, look, he dropped the pass, and he's nowhere near him, and Fred's like, yeah, you're trash, bud. Like, yeah, you're not good, man. Like, listen, NFC West, they've got a bunch of, it's like that meme from Family Guy where, like, the hands are in, is Jackson Smith and Jigba, it's Puka Nacua, it's Ricky Pearsall, and then Marvin Harrison's hand is the peg, and they're just like, no. They're just moving the hand out the way. They're like, no. Like, that's Marvin Harrison. Somebody make that, please, and give me credit as well, too. So, but yeah. Ricky Pearsall, good at football. Easiest call in the world, Steph, to say that Ricky Pearsall was going to go nuts on Sunday. I mean, that's not. I don't even want to pat myself on the back because it's just like they had nobody else to throw the football to, and that secondary was all banged up. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Ricky Pearsall. All right. That'll do it for this episode of Bully Ball on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. Shout out to everybody who joined. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you like this video. Subscribe to all 3 of our YouTube channels as well, too. Make sure you're subscribed to the Gold Standard Podcast Network wherever you get your audio podcast networks. Make sure you follow Steph on Twitter at Steph49K. Follow me on Twitter at JasonAponte2103. Download the Sleeper app. Promo code GSP so you can make some money on there as well, too. Steph, the 49ers are 3-0, but at a cost. I don't know what we did to continue to have to bear this cost out. It's like whenever we get something that's good, we can't even enjoy it. But
there's a curse out there, man. There's a curse.
Man. It's you're 3-0, but at what cost? Nick Bosa. That's the cost. But 49ers will roll on. They'll figure it out. Playoff team, absolutely. 3-0 with a chance to go 4-0 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. For Steph, for Jay, we're out of here.
Peace.